Hello and welcome back into our channel on mathematics, and we're going to be looking at coordinate geometry. And in this video we're going to be looking at practicing questions on coordinate geometry. We've done some couple of lectures on this topic already, but we want to dedicate this video on practicing some problems on coordinate geometry. Without wasting my time, if you're ready, then join me so we can zoom straight right in. Now our first question says that we should find the length. We're going to find the length of a line. We're going to find the length of a line, that is joining some points, joining some points, joining points A, and that point A has x value 1 or x coordinate 1 and y coordinate 3. And then the second point, which is B, has x coordinate 4 and y coordinate 7. So before we do that, let's imagine that we are in the maybe the xy plane, the Cartesian plane, where this is our x-axis and that is our y-axis, and then we have at the origin, this origin, the number 0. Now we're being told that if you look here, our x could be 1 or 4, right? So the maximum is 4. So we can say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. We can say that. And in our y, the maximum is either 3 or it's 7. So we can dedicate this one to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. Sorry about that. Now, this side is a positive y-axis, and this side is a negative y-axis. Don't forget that. This side is a negative x-axis, and this is a positive x-axis. So now the first point that we're given was point A, which is the number 1 and 3. So x is 1, and then y is 3. So they're going to meet here. This is 1, and then this is 3. Let's imagine this is 3 here. So they're going to meet here. So this is the first point. This is our first point, A. The second point is B, which is x value is 4. Where's 4 for x? It's positive 4. So we are here. And then the y value is 7. So we're going to look for 7, which is positive. So we are going to still be on this line right here. And then they are all going to meet here. So they meet here like this. They meet there nicely like that. Okay. So now we can be able to say that this is our point A, which is 1 and 3. And this is our point B, which is 4 and 7. And then we can draw a line through it. We can draw a line through it like that. I don't know whether my line is straight, but can draw a line nicely through it like this. Beautifully. Now, the question says, what is the length of this line? We want to know the length of this line. Now, anytime we are asked to estimate the length of a line, to find the length of a line, we are saying that is the same as the magnitude. We're looking for the magnitude, and it's a formula. So the length of the line is the line AB. So we're going to look for this, the magnitude of B. And the formula says that take the square root of the sum of the squares of x and y. So square x, square y, add them together and take the whole square root. So to do that, I was going to be pretty much, the magnitude formula, I think I'm a little bit mistaken, but let me rewrite the formula again. It's the difference within the two different x's. So the x2 minus x1, then we square that. Then we also take the difference between the second y and the first y and square that as well. That's the trick right there. So now we have to be able to determine which one is our first x. Since this point A, this should be our x1, and this should be y1. This also should be x2, and this is y2. And we're going to put in the formula. So we're going to have the whole square root. The x2 is our 4. minus our x1, which is 1, and we square it. Now, no matter which one you make as, x1 or x2, you still get the same answer. Plus our y2 is 7 minus our y1, which is 3, and we square that as well. And we end up getting the whole square root. This gives us 3 squared, plus this gives us 4 squared. And we end up getting the square root of 9 plus 16, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. Now, like I said, if we made a mistake of making this one, let's say our point A, which is 1 and 3, and a point B, which is 4 and 7, if we did make a mistake and we say, okay, this should rather be x2 and this y2 and this x1 and y1, we should still get the same answer. We should get the same answer. So the magnitude of AB using that will be square root of x2, which is what? Our 1, minus our y1, our x1, which is 4. We square that plus y2 is 3. Our y2 is 3. Minus our y1, which is 7. We square that as well. And we get a square root of negative 3 squared plus negative 4 squared. And we're going to get a square root of, this is going to give us 9 plus, that's positive 9. And this is also going to give us positive 16, which is square root of 25, which is 5. I hope this first problem is going well. It's going well. It's going well so far. It's going well so far. Now let's take a look at another question here. The question says we should find the distance. We're going to find the distance between 2 points. Distance between the points. We're going to find the distance between the points Q and the points P and Q. Now P is our 5, negative 6, and then our Q is negative 2, 5. We can quickly say that this is our x1 and this is our y1, this is our x2 and this is our y2. We can quickly say that and be able to estimate what our PQ is. So our PQ, our magnitude of PQ is the same as the distance. So to find the distance is the same as looking for what? The length of the points, or looking for what we call the magnitude is the same thing. So when the question says find the distance between 2 points, we're going to apply the same formula. We're going to apply it. And the formula says the square root of x2 minus x1, square that, plus y2 minus y1, you also square that. Now, PQ, the magnitude of PQ, which is this, is going to be square root of x2. x2 is negative 2 minus x1, which is 5. You square that plus y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is negative 6. Can you see that? And then we square that as well. Now, this is the formula says y2, which was 5. Minus, we brought our minus there. And y1 itself is negative 6. So that's what we are doing there. Now, this and that gives us negative 7 all squared plus, into bracket, we are going to get 5. We're going to get 5 plus 6 because this negative and this negative 6. We can plus 6 and we square that as well. When we come here and want to continue, it's going to be equal to the magnitude of PQ is going to be equal to square root of 49. Negative 7 squared is 49 plus 5 plus 6, which is 11, is going to give us 11 squared, which is square root of 49 plus 121, because 11 squared is 121. Now that's going to give us square root of 21 plus 49 is 70 plus 100. So that gives us 170 units. 170 units. So if we are giving it in the distance is in meters, then the units would have been square root of 170 meters. But we're not given that. So that's why we're leaving our answer in units. We're leaving our answer. We're leaving our answer in units. We are leaving our answer in units. All right. Let's look at another problem. We're going to look at another problem. And then the problem says we should find, we're going to find the perimeter of a triangle. We're going to look for the perimeter of a triangle. Now we have the vertices. The first point on the triangle is P. which is 6 and 4. Second one is Q, which is negative 3 and 1. The next one, Q. Next one is R, which is 9 and negative 5, like this. Okay, 9 and negative 5. If you plot this on a graph to see how it's going to turn out, this is Y, this is X-axis. Now, Y is 4, 1, and negative 5. So the maximum on our Y, you can see this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, the negative side is negative 5. So you can say this is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and maybe negative 5 right here. Now, for the X, the maximum is 9 there. So we can start with a 2. We can say this is 4, this is 6, this is 8, and this is, let's say, 10. And then we have the negative side. We can say this is also a 2, negative 2. This is a negative 4, and this is a negative 6, like that. Now, the first one, there's a 6 and 4. 6 here, 4 there. So that's the first point, which is point P. 6 and 4. The next one says negative 3. Negative 3 will be here. Negative 3 and positive 1 right here. That's going to be our Q. Negative 3, comma 1. The next one is 9. 9 will be here. 9, negative 5. Where's negative 5? Negative 5 will be somewhere here. So we have negative 9 here, like this. And this is our R, which is 9, negative 5. Now, if we draw the line between them, we're going to end up getting something like this. Sorry. We're going to end up getting something like that through here. So we need to wipe this one off a little bit. So let's imagine we're taking this one off. And that's our first one. And then we continue with that one. And then we also join this one like this. This is our triangle. Now the question says we should find the perimeter. We're going to find the perimeter of the triangle. Now what do? We need to find the length here. Find the length here and find the length here. And we add them, and then we're able to know the perimeter or the circumference. Or the circumference. It's the same thing. Or the circumference of the triangle. The circumference of the triangle. So for the length PQ, it's going to be square root of x2. This could be our x1, y1, x2, y2. So our x2 is going to be negative 3 minus x1, which is 6. We square that plus. Our y2 is 1 minus our y1, which is 4. We also square that. And then we end up getting the square root of negative 9 squared plus negative 3 squared. And we end up getting negative 9 squared is 81 plus negative 3 squared, which is 9. And we end up getting square root of 90. We end up getting square root of 90. Now, how do we look for the P and R? The length of P and R, or the distance between P and R, is square root of what? The P is going to be our x1, y1. R is going to be x2, y2. So x2 is 9 minus x1, 6. You square that plus our y2, which is negative 5, minus our y1, which is 4. We square that, and we end up getting a 3 squared plus a negative 9 squared, which is simply square root of 9 plus another 81, which is square root of 90 again. 9 plus 81, which is square root of 90. So here is square root of 90. Here is also square root of the PQ. It's also square root of 90. Now, what about the length of QR? The length of QR, this is our x1, y1, x2, y2. So square root of what? X2, 9, minus what? X1, negative 3. We square that plus y2, which is negative 5. Y2 is negative 5. Negative 5 minus our y minus our q. We said QR, right? This is x1, y1, x2, y2. Now we've been able to do our y2, which is negative 1, minus our y1, which is 1. We square that, and we end up getting 9 plus a 3 squaring. You've got this negative and this negative become positive. And then this, remind you, this squared here is affecting the whole of this. So that's what we just did. Plus this one, these two give us negative 6 squared. And we end up getting a 12 squared plus a 36, which gives us 144 plus 36, which is equal to square root of 180. Square root of 180. Square root of 180. So here, this side is square root of 180. And we know this is the same as 2 square root of 90, because this is 90 times 2. 2 square root of 90. 2 square root of 90. Now, therefore, the perimeter is going to be the length of PQ plus the length of what? PR plus the length of QR, like this. So that PQ is square root of 90, PR is also square root of 90, plus QR, which is square root of 2 square root of 90, which means that knowing our surds, this is the same as 1 square root of 90 plus another 1 square root of 90 plus a 2 square root of 90. So we're going to add 1 plus the 2, and that gives us 4, and then we maintain the 90. And then that's going to be our final answer, being able to estimate distances between points, finding the length or magnitude of 2 points, finding the perimeter or circumference of many points or different vertices or different vertices. Okay, now we're going to be looking at how to be able to estimate. We're going to be able to how to solve a problem regarding midpoints. We're going to be asked to look for the midpoint between 2 points. Now, the question here says that if you have point C, and it's 1 and 3, and we also have the point D, which is 5 and 7, if we have these 2 points, we are being told to find the midpoint. What's the midpoint? What's the midpoint of CD? What's the midpoint of CD? That's what we're being told to look for. Now, to find a midpoint of something, it's also a formula again. It's also a formula. And the formula says that you take half and multiply it by the summation of x1 plus x2. And then you also take half again on the other side of y1 plus y2. If that's the case, we're just going to put in the formula. That's going to give us half. What's our x1? We can say this x1 and this x2. So that's going to give us 1 plus 5, comma, half. What's our y1? Our y1 is 3, and our y2 is 7. So we're going to have half. This is going to give us 6. Half, this is going to give us 10. And then this ends giving us 3, 5. You can see that this will cancel this out, this cancel that out. So the midpoint, we can say that therefore, the midpoint, remember, we're looking for a point, so it has to have an x and a y. So the midpoint of CD is going to be equal to what? 3, 5, like that. 3, 5 in that particular order. In that particular order, 3, 5. Now, what if we tweak things a little bit? Another question. We have point A. Point A is -3 and 1, and our point B is 7 and 3. And we're looking for the midpoint. Looking for the midpoint of AB. Okay, the midpoint of A and B. And so to do that, we said that it's a formula. It says a formula. It is half multiplying the sum of the different x1 and x2. I also have the sum of y1 plus y2, like that. So that you have half, this is equal to this equal to, you have half the x1 here. This is our x1. This is our x2. Sorry, y1. x2, y2. So x1 is -3 plus x2, which is 7, half. y1 is 1 plus y2, which is 3. And then we end up getting half here, 4 there, half here, another 4 here, half and 4, half and 4. This 2 cancels out, we get 2. This 2 cancels out, we get 2. So the midpoint is 2 comma 2. The midpoint is 2 comma what? 2. Our midpoint is 2 comma 2, like that. Okay, it's 2 comma 2. Okay, so now let's look at another problem set right here. Okay, we're going to look for the a different question. We're being told that we have the point A, and that point A is 7 and 3. Okay, and we're given a point B to be -4 and 1, and point C to be -3 and -2, in that order. Now we're being told to be able to show, so we should show that it's an isosceles. Show that it's an isosceles triangle. We're going to show that it's an isosceles triangle. Now we know that an isosceles triangle has 2 sides equal. It has 2 sides equal and 2 angles equal. 2 angles equal. Now, if 2 sides are equal, it automatically means that their angles are also equal. So all we need to do is to estimate the sides to be what? Equal. Once we're able to achieve that, yes, we've been able to achieve some kind of we need to achieve our objective. So let's start by looking for the length, because it's the length that we can be able to lead us to knowing the value for each of the sides. So if you're looking for the magnitude of AB, or the length of AB, remember that we said the square root of x2 minus x1, we square that, plus y2 minus y1, and we also square that. Remember, that is the length. Now, if that's the case, we're going to plug it in. Our A, yes, x1, y1, x2, y2. So x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is -4, we square that, plus y2. Our y2 is 1, minus y1, which is 3. We also square that, and we end up getting square root of 7 plus this negative, and this thing becomes plus. We square that, plus -1 minus 3 squared. We end up getting a square root of what? 11 squared, plus into bracket -2 squared, which gives us square root of 121 plus 4, which is going to square root of, it's going to give us square root of 125 units. 125 units. So we've been able to look for AB. Now let's look for AC. Let's look for the magnitude or the length of AC. It's also going to be square root of x2 minus x1, square that. Y2 minus y1, you square that. Our x2 for AC is going to be -3 for x2, minus our x1 is 7. This is x1, x2. Square that, plus y2 is -3 minus y1, which is 3. Square that. We end up getting -10 all squared plus -9 all squared. We end up getting square root of 100 plus 81, which gives us square root of what? 181. Square root of 181. Square root of 181. Now, what about looking for the length of BC? Length of BC is going to be x2. The C will be the x2 and y2. So our x2 is -3 minus the B, which is the x1. The x1 is -4. And then we square that, plus y2, -2, minus y1, -1, and we square that. We end up getting square root of -3 plus 4 squared. Plus -3 all squared. We get here to be 1 squared, because 4 plus 4 and -3 is +1. You square that, plus 9 And then we end up getting 1 plus 9, which is square root of 10, 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 which is square root of 10. Now, let's take a look at the length AC again. Length AC, x1, x2. So x2, negative 3, minus x1, 7. You square that, negative 10 squared. That's 100. That's 100. Now, if we take the y2 for 8 here, it's negative 2. Sorry, it's negative 2. Can you see that? Our y2 is negative 2 minus y1, which is 3. You square that, you get negative 5 squared. And this negative 5 squared gives us plus 25. And that gives us 125. Square root of 125. So we can tell that this and that are the same. So the magnitude of AB is the same as the magnitude of AC, which makes it what? Isosceles. It makes it isosceles. It makes it isosceles. Now, if we're being asked to find, let's say, the midpoint of BC, if we want to know the midpoint of BC, then it's simply half of x1 plus x2, comma another half y1 plus y2. Now in here, BC, where's BC? This BC right here. So x1 there is negative 4 plus x2, which is also negative 3, comma half y1 is 1 and plus our y2, which is negative 2, like this. And you end up getting half into these two give us negative 7, comma half. These two give us negative 1. So we end up getting negative 7 over 2, comma negative half, like that. And that gives us our midpoint. Now you can express this as negative 3 whole number, 1 over 2, comma negative half, as the midpoint of BC, as a midpoint of BC. Now let's look at a different set of problem. We've been given 2 points. P here is 1 and 1. Q here is 7 and 2. Now we've been asked to calculate the gradient. We need to find the gradient. Now remember, when we are told to find the gradient, it's the same as the slope. So it depends on the textbook that you'll be using. Sometimes you see the word slope, sometimes you find the word gradient, and they're the same. Now the formula for finding the slope is what? Is a change in y over a change in x, which is an increase in y over an increase. Okay. One increase in x. And the top part is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now, since we're looking for PQ, this could be our x1. This is our y1, like that. So we can put it in the formula where we have y2 to be 2. This is our y2. Minus y1 to be 1. And then we divide that by x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 1. And we end up getting 1 over 6 as our final answer. Like that. So that's how you calculate the what? That's how we estimate the gradient. Now, if we are being told to look for another, let's say we're looking for another question. There's another question that says that we should find the gradient going through the point 3, comma negative 2, and also it's also going through the point negative 5 and negative 8. And we want to find the slope. Okay, so the slope is the change in y over a change in x, or an increase in y over what? An increase in x. And that gives us y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1 in that sweet order. Now we are going to just determine that this is x1 and y1, x2 and y2. So y2 is negative 8 minus y1, which is negative 2, divided by x2, which is negative 5. This is our x2, minus our x1, which is positive 3. And we end up getting negative 8 plus 2 divided by negative 5, negative 3. And then this gives us negative 6 divided by negative 8, which gives us negative 6 over negative 8. These negative values will cancel out. 2 goes into this, or the common factor between 6 and 8 is 2. So 2 multiplied by 3 gives you the 6, and 2 multiplied by 4 gives you the 8. Therefore, the slope between the 2 points is 3 divided by 4, or 3 over 4, or 3 over 4, or 3 over 4. Now, we're going to be, I think we should end here. We'll come another time. With more videos on practicing questions on coordinate geometry. Like we have to learn things such as how to find the equation of a line, which are all topics under coordinate geometry. Now, be looking out for those short 1-minute video lectures on coordinate geometry. And once we're able to complete that, we come back again with videos such as this, where we practice till we're able to perfect the topic. If you are not yet a subscriber, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell, so that if we have any videos posted, you'll be notified. If you're already a subscriber, we thank you for supporting our channel. But before I go, I would like you to take very good care of yourself, and I'll do the same on my side. All right, take care and bye.